Hello world. Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Dorsey here. It is Christmas evening. It would be, in my family's tradition, it would be about the time that all of the family members are all laid out around the couches and stuff, all trying to breathe after overeating and everything. That's kind of the, that's kind of, it's like 6 something in the afternoon, Christmas evening. We have had ourselves a really nice day of feasting and pie and hanging out with Frida, who is right here pretty much next to me. What you're looking at is my Cork Bark Japanese black pine that I started doing a little bit of wiring to last night, and at one point I checked the camera and we had lost battery. So I already knew it was going to be a multi-parter. We just lost out on the part where we got to say goodnight. So this is where we're going to pick up. I've already got a few little pieces of wire cut to the side, laid off to the side. I've got my small bent hook needle nose pliers. I've got a little pair of blunt spring-loaded needle nose, and I've got a pair of tinier spring-loaded needle nose pliers, as well as my Japanese pruners and a pair of scissors, a pair of stainless wire cutters, and a small assortment of training treats. I think one thing I want to do is, I saw a wire that I wasn't crazy about the way that it got left. I want to pick up there, and this might be part 2 of like a 3-parter. So we might be doing this, we could be doing this for a minute, is what I'm trying to say. When I feel like it's gone on for a long time, or I start to worry about whether or not I've been doing it too long, I'm gonna stop, because this is kind of our this no shame in saying this. I would say this is probably our flagship tree to our collection, and for sure, if I feel like I'm struggling, I want to stop before we get in trouble over struggling over anything, is what I'm saying. Now, okay. So last time I started noticing, you start off thinking I got this with my fingers because it's just right here and it's real easy and it's open and that won't be any trouble. And then about the time you start noticing you should want to grab your little pliers. That's usually about the point where it would have been easier quite a bit sooner than maybe, once you come kind of out of the, come over here. You could make yourself visible. Yeah, like over here, just like right over here, and you'd be in the show. Too much? Are we just so full of ham we don't want to move for a dog treat? Okay. All right, well, I can kind of relate to that. I'm a little, I bought a honey baked ham, and I bought a 9-pound honey baked ham, and Frida are trying. It's been a heck of a sacrifice, I tell you. We're trying to work our way through this guy. We've already gone quite a ways. We've gone quite a ways already, but we're trying to work our way through 9 pounds of ham in 3 days. And at day 3, out she goes. But it has been it has been good, and I'm not sick of him yet. Uh, I don't know how much farther I have to go, but I certainly would not say that I wouldn't say I'm over it yet, for, by a long shot. Either way, what we have, what we have left of our 9-pound honey baked ham in the morning will go out with me when I go catch my ride to work. I don't know. This has been a very, very relaxed. This has been a very relaxed time at the O'Connor Dorsey household. I think I did. I don't know if this part made the show or not. I don't remember. But I spilled the beans that last night that I was probably going to go on a bit of a Ghost in the Shell cartoon binge or anime binge, which is what I did last night till kind of late. Most enjoyable though. All right, so that I cleaned up some stuff that I wanted to do there. I need to, golly, yeah, I did the wrong thing on this branch. I might have mentioned that last night. There's about this much, and then the branch does that. And I wired it from here and put a little motion in those. And what I really should have done was wired it back here so that I could put that in it. And what I'm saying is, in order to fix that, I don't have any wire running back here. I came with a piece of wire and basically did a 2-branch system from here, which leaves me nothing here. So I had to pick up a second wire here. So now I've got 2 wires, and one of those was just to pick up that link. And now I have to do that again to pick up that one. Okay, well, we'll do that. Meanwhile, I've cut these, I've bent them and cut them so that if I want to use the 2-branch method, they're already at some length, and I don't have to worry about that being like a bought and paid for length or something. If that doesn't suit me when it comes time to play, I can still cut that down. She's almost in frame. How about that? Will you move that much to get into? You almost can. They can almost see you. Okay. All right. She's not gonna get on her mark for any. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is add a little wire to this little junction right here to see if I can get a little bit more motion in that part. I mean, I know I can, but I hope everybody is having a good holiday. So far of the holiday season, Frida and I would say have been just absolutely killing it. I mean, we have been having the most nicest time. I've got enough wire on there now that I may not have room to bend it with all that wire on. Okay, I want you to do okay. Now the idea of that wire I just added is to try to get a little bit of bend at the wrist. Okay, I'm gonna quit messing with it there and bring that down a little more like that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I have to remember this is cork bark, and if you bend them much at all, you'll break them on the inside. Every one of these I've bent, I'm running a risk of losing. So I have to take it slow and easy and not really lose sight of that. Still in all, that can happen. If that happens, we're just going to deal with it. But I'm also thinking that being really mindful of that going in may save us some heartache. So I'm also going to be wiring these branches on a as per basis. Some, I might wire one, and then you would look at the one next to it and think wire it too. But if it looks a little thicker, then it may be past the point where I feel comfortable trying to bend it. All of that extra bark will cause these to break so much more easily than other pine trees, than other whatever fill in the blank species. I think all species of pine can catch whatever it is that you can have a cork bark ponderosa pine, or you can have a cork bark Scots pine, but they're fragile. They're not hardy. I hear mixed results. I hear people say to find one in the wild is the holy grail. And I also hear people, and maybe that's because of what that other thing I hear is they don't survive out in the wild because of the cork bark itself is not durable. It's not something that lives in the wild very well by itself. Case in point, just a little bit of this bark, and when you bend it, it makes it really, really, really easy to break the branch inside. And the branch inside is extra tiny compared to the same amount of time grown of a non-cork. So not only has it got all that extra bark on the outside, but the vascular part is also extra wimpy on the inside. So when you bend it, it's basically kind of acting like a fulcrum, and you can just so easily break that tiny little line. And I hope I did some of that on camera. All right. So just trying to get a little bit, just open this up a little bit, not trying to go too cray there. Maybe we pull one of these, pull out one of my Bo Peeps. Sometimes when you're dealing with sphagnum moss and you're trying to, mount it up on something, you may make a wire like this, sharpen the ends, have it cut it shorter, and it's a bobby pin, but you might only use one side of it and have this side of it be a hook. And they call those, I've heard those called Bo Peeps, and it's a little something you can use kind of like a carpet tack or something to keep moss down, or to keep, you know, if you've got a little embankment going there with some substrate on it, and you'd like it to all kind of stay where you put it, that's kind of how you go about it. All right, I'm looking around here. I could do that. I've already done that. Can I bring that down some more? What I could do, I don't know if I got much on that. I don't know that either way. I should risk trying. The idea of doing this, and the reason I'm doing this, and is to get more light in between. Get more light in between the branches, facilitate more bud growth. This would also be the time that I would typically be going in there and do a little needle reduction on the top to redistribute the energy. And I would also maybe be going in and do bud selection, selecting some of these little clusters, these little growing fat clusters of buds, down to two each. But this is not a time that I feel comfortable yet doing that kind of stuff to this tree. It's gone through a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm not real comfortable. I'm not real comfortable with the notion of reducing anything right now. So far, I don't want to do that and then find out I halted our progress. And we have been making progress with this tree. So, you know, there's definitely something here that I'm trying to continue. This is the way I look at it. You know, I'd like to continue that little trend. I've got a branch. One. Okay. That. Oh, wrong way. So this is a 78-year-old Japanese black pine, and I have this tree has scared me a couple of times, and I've also learned a lot in the time that I've had it, and it has been in a lot of ways a very, very forgiving tree. I'm for that most thankful. And I got this one before I got my 17-year from seed. So, you know, we kind of made a point to try to get some nice trees early on, and definitely feel that pressure of wanting to know what it's like to try to sustain something nice, and at the same time knowing to know what that fear is like of having wanting to sustain something nice. I can't go that way, I have to go this way. So yeah, it's been some of all of it. It's been a rocky road. The little thing that I talked about last night was a summer of trauma for me a couple of years back. But you know, there's something, I was lucky in a way. You can walk away from something like that scared to move. But the part that actually helped out on that was when I figured out what it was. And it wasn't something, I mean, if you were there, you would have made, you know, it was pretty obvious. It was pretty obvious to me at the time. Oh yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious to me as a person going in on a repot, not knowing what to think. I got there and went, oh, big reveal. I see what happened. And so there is a certain amount to that, and there is a certain amount of good that you get going, well, not only is the steps to not ever doing that again certainly repeatable, it's literally don't ever do that again, as opposed to something that happened that you're vague about, that you don't know how you did it, that you suspect you might still be doing it, or you don't know, you know, that just walking away from that is not a lot of fun. In this case, what I'm being vague about is because I believe I talked about it at the right time to have it included in the last deck. When I did a little home improvement on the balcony summer before last, I brought some trees in for a few hours so that they would not be anywhere near harm's, you know, they wouldn't get bumped into or knocked into or nothing broken off of them or none of that, so that I would just feel safe. So I brought a few trees in for a few hours and we did our home improvement. And then when I returned the trees back to the balcony, some of them got switched around in their placement. I think that's how it happened. But they ended up in different drip trays than they had been in before. And this one ended up sitting in a tray that by the time I put the pot in the tray, then it was sitting, it raised the water level, and this guy was sitting then in about 2 inches of water for 2 days, killing off a mat of roots in the bottom and causing a massive drainage problem that proceeded to then kill the tree. And so my first move was panic, and that was pretty much my second and third move too. But then I got mad and started trying to run like counter to it. So in this case, what I mean by counter is I learned some stuff that I was missing out on. I had learned that I'd missed an opportunity to feed all of my Japanese black pines in the fall and in the spring. And I had learned that I had also decandled this tree at the wrong time of year. I'm feeding Frida behind my back while I'm talking to you guys. And I also I'd also learned that I decandled it when I shouldn't have, so I wasn't doing a bunch of stuff I was supposed to do, and I had done a few things that I was definitely not supposed to do, and I think there was even and then having that root obstruction at the bottom certainly didn't help us. So it was that was once I cut that off, just like took a knife and then just cut that straight across the bottom, cut all of that off. And then once we had done that and then repotted the tree back in some substrate and wired it back down, although I did screw up the angle, the recovery of that tree was immediate and really good to see. Uh, it's like I knew within a few days of my doing that the tree was recovering. It was a matter of whether, it was a race against the clock. Had I already killed the tree before I did the one thing that was, and ultimately would have saved it, was kind of a question. So yeah, that was that. And what we learned was, from then on, we started running systemic treatments through all of our trees, because that was just one of the things we had learned in relationship to don't drown them. And we started, wow, that's so hard to reach in there. And I started feeding them BioGold. So then we started feeding them, and we started feeding them at the right times and not feeding them at the right times. And that's also when I started paying more attention to all the other rules that you're supposed to pay attention to. I don't like the way that started. I started paying attention to all the other rules that you should be paying attention to, like needle thinning, candle cutting, and all of those other practices that go with trying to maintain, or maintaining, not trying to maintain. We're going to be positive about this. Your Japanese black pine, all of those things are important. And you think that for a while, it seems like a lot to learn, and that you'll wait and see what it is you need to learn, and then learn what you need to learn as you need to learn it. Okay, well, in my case, your trees will get awful yellow if you're not feeding them, and they're gonna not necessarily recover from that. And that could be one of three things. A lot of times when you lose a tree, it's not one thing, it'll be three things. It'll be the last thing you did plus the two other things that kind of had your tree in a place where it was vulnerable anyway. Like getting a tree that's weak and unhealthy and then attracts insects. That's 1 plus 1 equals the other, right there. Which is something else we were noticing. That same c'est la vie attitude led to us getting some predators on our oak trees, which also that's where learning about the systemics proved helpful. And then at the same time, I also, when it came to the oaks, I also learned about pruning techniques and the reallocation of hormones. That is very, very vital to tree development, and is easy to implement once you're on point with what it is that you're wanting to do. I'm doing this wrong. I'm reaching in from the front, and those needles in a couple of weeks, or I'll be looking at that and going, what happened to all these needles? Anyway, if I'm gonna play, don't do what I do here. I'm supposed to be coming in from way underneath on all these needles, and the times when you hit needles on the end is when you cause them a lot of problems, either in the short term or later in life. Some of them won't look completely god awful until later on in the summer, and then everything you did wrong starts to show on them, like all our indiscretions kind of show on us after a while. All right, so that was difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard to get in there, and I got some motion on that branch that I'm pretty happy with. I hope. I hope I didn't hurt nothing. Okay. And again, the point of this is to create more space in between these pads, create more air, create more room for bud growth, which is what we're doing. At the same time, this would be a time that normally I would be cutting these, I would be thinning out these buds a little bit, maybe pulling some needles down off the top to redistribute the energy. But this is a cork bark Japanese black pine, and we are just coming out of some issues with this tree, and I won't be doing any of those things. We're going to let this tree get long and shaggy, and we're going to just accentuate its age, and we're going to spread its pads out a little and try to continue to feed this tree, continue to water it nicely. This would also, if I had a big backyard, this might also be a good time to go back and put this tree in a container, you know, put it in rehab for a couple of years that way, and let it regain its energy. I don't have the space or the allocations to do that. Also, that'd be a lot of repotting in a couple of years, and I don't really know that there's a lot to be gained by that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to do the same thing by just being damn cool with the tree for a minute. Yo, just breathe. And then we're gonna feed it year round. And then I'm not going to do a whole lot of needle reduction. I'm not going to do any bud selection for probably, I don't know, probably another year, or unless one of my instructors go, I don't know, you should probably, but I don't, as it stands now, without knowing offhand, I don't think that would be the way to proceed. I think we've got to continue our march to good health on this guy. Having felt like I came close to losing it, that's not something that I'm letting go of too easy, I guess. That could come down. That would be nice if that came down some. Okay. I'd have to go up on the wire size of that to make that happen. But we have I have the stuff in hand to do that, I suppose. Let's see what that would take. I'm gonna grab a length of heavier wire and see. I don't want to get too nuts. Or find myself in a position where I've got some something that's already work hardened around the tree, and I've got to try to fight it back off. That wouldn't be a lot of fun. But what I'm asking is, can I bring this guy down a little? Pat? What I do? I take the tree kind of. All right. I don't know. I don't know, Davey. Oh, I feel a little nervous about this. Easy. A mile too long, but okay. Actually, let's take that, yeah, like that. Even if this looks a little rough in a minute, as long as we don't kill these branches, I'm still doing a really good thing here. I should go in between there, I suppose. Okay. Now, just a little. Okay. We did it. I can bend that a lot more. I think that that would be dangerous. I think I want to stop there, and if that's okay, if that much is okay, then I'll bend it more later. But that looked like that was going to be really hard, especially going up on the wire gauges. I could see like that was, yeah, that went well. I'm relieved that that went well. And move that heavy gauge out of my way in case I need it later. All right. Alrighty then. I need another single strand, methinks. Is it long enough? Is this long enough? It's a double. It's a double. We'll cut another single strand from here. And then, what are you saying uh-oh for? I saw sap. I don't like it when I see sap. It's not good. It's not good when you see sap. It's glistening and it smells good, but it's not good to see sap. That was on a branch I bent last night. That could be the living tissue inside a small, tiny little piece of wood. breaking. That could have been me killing a branch whenever I see sap running like that. Because I didn't kill, I don't think I cut anything. It should be, no wait, I did cut one little. I do remember cutting a rather small little wheat branch, but I don't remember. That didn't remind me of it when I just saw that. So when you see that you can get a needle out of the way, get it out of the way. When you see that you've already hopelessly wired it, cut it loose. You're not gonna help it by leaving it stuck under a wire. At that point, it's taking resources and not giving much back. Okay. We are making some progress on this guy, I have to say. I'm glad to see. I am glad to see. Now, I'm looking at something. I think you can still see that. Here. I needed more of a wrap here, and that's kind of where my anchor is, but it doesn't allow me to bend as much there. I want to oh man, that little guy now has gotten like super tough. This may be another one of those you shouldn't have messed with it lessons. I'm gonna give it my last little. The difference is I'm not making the most out of the wire the way I have it. All right. Good luck, little branch. This thing has been being fed year-round. Like I stated earlier, I didn't do any candles on it. I didn't decandle it. Normally, on the ones that you decandle, you stop feeding them in spring, mid-spring, I guess. And then so you should time it so that there's no fertilizer running through the tree about, for 30 days, so that it's well and truly, it's run its banks lean whenever you decandle it. That way, it makes a second flush, and it will not have the energy on standby to make the second flush of needles super long. So as a result, it makes a shorter second flush of needles. Well, whereas on this guy, we weren't going to be doing a needle flush. So what we did is we've been feeding this guy around the calendar. And we will continue to do so until I get a better handle on our cork barks. That hadn't been super long, but I'm going to cut this off here. I cleaned up one or two things that I worked on last night, and I got quite a bit done tonight. Actually, it was going a little quicker, but now we're at this point. I need to start working on the next level of trees, and I think we've made good progress. This is our flagship 75-year-old Japanese cork bark black pine. I am its third human to care for this tree, and what we are doing is we're throwing copper wire to its branches for the first time ever since I've had it. Not the first time ever. The first time in the 3 years that I've had it. I'm adding a little bit of copper to the tree, and I'm starting to pull the pads down a little bit, trying to create a little bit more space for them, a little bit more light, a little bit more air, and allow it to do whatever it does. While at the same time, I'm trying to make sure that it's getting plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of light, and all in the right amounts. And we're trying to watch our P's and Q's. We've got it on a twice a year systemic. Now when I got this tree, it was bud tight. I mean, all these needles were short, and they were all just like perfect. And now it's still a beautiful tree. It's still, but you should have seen it. And what I've got to do is at some point, I've got to be comfortable with starting to try to work it back in that direction. But right now, I'm still feeling a little shell-shocked over what happened to this guy. And I'm cool with it hanging out like this for a while longer and just getting fed and just told to hang out and not sweat it. In the next video, we'll start pulling more of this stuff down, and start trying to work down some of these other branches as we go further up the tree. I can't put as much motion in these the way y'all seen me do some of the others, but this is a 75-year-old tree. There's a lot at stake here, and I already know, having already learned from this with some other cork barks, these guys are even more fragile than I was led, in some cases, than I was led to believe, or maybe I just didn't listen. I thought I did. But at any rate, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm hoping you are having an awesome holiday. As of now, we've got about half of it down and about half of it to go this time next week. And thank you so much for watching. We can do a rotate. We're on a turntable. It wouldn't kill you. Yeah, I'm starting to see where we're bringing those branches down makes a difference. Okay.